Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Emigrate Open Day. If you can hear me, please just post on the chat to confirm that you can hear me. Thank you. Also, please post on the chat to confirm you can see my screen. I'll just wait for a few people to do that. Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? Please post on the chat just to make sure we're fine. Welcome to this edition of Emigrate Open Day. Thank you. I see your messages. A huge welcome, and I would say welcome to our guest for today's edition as well. Antonia is in the room already, and she'll be coming up shortly. Thank you for sharing that. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Emigrate Open Day. My name is Bade Adeshemo. I'm co-founder and CTO of Social Lender, amongst many other things. And today we'll be going through a journey over a period of about 1 hour, where we'll be learning about tech-enabled pathway to relocation and settlement. It's a service of Bincom Dev Center called Emigrate. What is Emigrate? I know many people have asked that question. I know some people were even asking, what's the definition of emigrate? Emigrate is just a play on word of the word emigrate, but we decided to play a bit on that word, which is why you see emigrate written as with the, I see you, Antonia, as well. While emigrate is written with the number 8 behind it. Yes. So what is Emigrate? What we do at Emigrate is basically to help you become globally attractive. And there are 2 ways for that to happen, the way we've seen it. The first way is having a globally attractive tech profile or having a globally attractive tech-enabled business. So typically a startup or something like that. Something I must mention is I know many of us came into this room to learn about tech-enabled visas, but we believe that for our objective at Emigrate, the visa itself is only a side effect of something bigger. It's only a side effect of the question of you becoming globally attractive. The reason for that is very simple. Many economies all over the world are looking for people, talented people such as yourself, that can help them build their economy. And so they are happy to have you within their economy as long as they know you will be able to add value. And so, yes, you will learn about different visa pathway, particularly for the UK for today's edition, but we would like you to think beyond just the visa to see yourself as being globally attractive. For Emigrate is built for you if you are in tech, if you are passionate about what you do, particularly in tech, because we focus strategically, at least for now, on the tech-enabled pathways. So otherwise, you'll be frustrated if you are not in tech. But please understand that when I say tech, I didn't just mean the technical side of tech, which is technology. You can also be on the business side of tech, and even you can be on the investment side of tech as well. There are generally many different visa pathways for you that are available today, right? And very important also, Emigrate is built for you if you are interested in attaining global mobility. For us, Emigrate started as to solve a challenge that we saw internally, which was a lot of people working with us, a lot of people working for us, didn't seem to realize opportunities that they had available to them. Many of them remain unaware of it. Even when you tell them, oh, did you know you can qualify for this in a couple of months or in a couple of years and so on? Did you know that you can plan for this? They still could not believe it. In some cases, because of how our country has dealt with our mindsets, in some cases, because when they say the word exceptional, for example, they just don't think it's them they are talking about. And so what we've done with Emigrate is to build something around coaching, sharing of information, hand holding, a bit of strategy, a bit of planning, consultation, advisory, and very important as well, a community of like-minded people as well. Where we see Emigrate going in the future is that it would become its own startup. Solving problems of global mobility for African founders and particularly techies, and also helping individuals become globally attractive. For now, Emigrate is incubated by Bincom Dev Center, and we look forward to that time when it will become its own thing. Why Emigrate works is because what we are doing is helping you focus on being globally attractive. Yes, the visa may be what you're looking for, but don't forget that even when you do get the visa, you still need to earn income. You still need to add value. You still need to get, you still need to be able to work or run a business that will generate cash and so on. And so there's much more to life past the visa. But the visa, yes, maybe the reason why we're having this open day today, but beyond that, there's much more to it as well. The key point in all of this is to add value. And so we would like you to not come into this open day with the mindset of, oh, I want to be anywhere but in Nigeria, I want to be anywhere but in Africa. We want you to come with the mindset of, I want to actually become an expatriate, right? Something I say a lot is that there's a difference between, there's only one key difference between people called immigrants and people called expatriates. And it's basically the side of the pond that you are going from. So if you're going from Africa to the world, right, you are called an immigrant. If you are coming from the world as an expat anyway, if you're coming from the world to Africa, you are called an expatriate, right? And the question is that even if the world refuses to change its own nomenclature, can you make sure that you are going out there as an expatriate in itself? There are many different tech-enabled visa options. And as I mentioned before, not and when you see things like, oh, exceptional talents, and we'll be talking a lot about that, many people don't generally think of it that, oh, this is me they are talking about. And for some people, even your business may not just be your visa, it may also be your ticket. There have been many parts of the world I've traveled to because my startup actually paid for the ticket, or it was sponsored because I was a founder of a startup. And that's why I was able to travel to some of those places. And there are many opportunities along that line that are available as well. Only if you are aware of it, only if you are positioned for it, only if you are attractive enough for those opportunities to be given to you. Some people today, this is the slide that you're looking for, because everything we'll be talking about, minus our own guests' own experience, is in public domain. The question is, why didn't you know about some of these things? Maybe you weren't looking in the right direction. Maybe you didn't even know it existed and so on. But here they are, some of the visas that are available to you as of today, simply because you are globally attractive. There are qualification criteria for each one of them. For the UK, the startup visa, the innovator visa, and we'll be talking about, for most of today's edition, about the global talent visa, which is the Tech Nation visa. There's the skilled workers route, which is also available for the US. Last open day edition, we spoke about the US, particularly the O1 EB2 route with our guest, and then there's the EB1 route. For Canada, yes, many people are familiar with the express entry route, but did you know that there's a startup visa for Canada? And if you qualify, you could actually get permanent residency within 1 year, right? In France, there's the French tech visa. Many other European countries have different types of startup visas. There's also the freelance visa in like Germany and so on. Digital normal visa, and even UAE came up with its own type of visa recently, where they said that you would get 10 years, right? Though I put a question mark there because the way it seems is that it's a route, they say it's a route to citizenship. Most of these visas I mentioned are routes to citizenship and settlement over a period of time. UAE says it is as well, but it seems like that settlement itself has some sort of comma in it. One of the questions we hope that you would answer today is, oh, what should you be doing? What should you be doing now as regards some of these visa options and opportunities that we are going to speak about, or we are speaking about today. One of them for us is the fact that you should plan, because depending on the number of years of experience, and it's not just your experience that counts, there are several other things that you have to, each one of these categories and each one of these visas are asking for. But depending on the number of years of experience and exposure that you have will determine the type of visa that you can target and you can probably apply for. For example, over a 2-year period, you can actually plan for the exceptional promise route with the UK. However, it is not, we are not saying it is easy to get, but if you do the right things every day, starting today, you would qualify easily for that type of visa. Within a 4-year experience, you can probably qualify for the exceptional talent version of the same visa, which is the global talent visa. And there are several others available as well. The key point is that know about what is available to you, and more important, plan for it and be positioned for it as well. For us as Emigrate, we do a lot of things for free, but with Emigrate as well, there are paid services and there are things that we do for free. Starting with the Emigrate community, we've created a community both on WhatsApp and also on Telegram. We've created communities on there where, people that are interested in these tech-enabled visas and all of that can interact and so on. The community, the free one, is not always open for interaction because it needs to be moderated and so on. So we open it from time to time for those kinds of interaction. We have a second community, which is the Emigrate Circle. This is a paid community. However, what that gives you is, interaction throughout in terms of some of the information you need, some of the discussions, requirements, and so on. The monthly open days are available as well. They are free to our Emigrate community, whether it's the free community or the premium community at this point. The open days are free to members of our community. We also have the personalized consultation. As I mentioned, the key things we focus on is sharing information, coaching, advisory, and so on. We are not immigration lawyers. We are not offering legal advice. What we are offering is giving you information that you would need to be able to take that pathway for yourself. So we have personalized consultation. We also have the Emigrate Standard package that comes with about 3 different levels of consultation. The way we see that working typically with some of our clients, first consultation typically is about, what do I need to qualify? Do I already qualify? What are the information that is available as at this point? These are all the things I've done in my past. What are the ones that are relevant? What are the ones that are not relevant? The second one is the second consultation typically would be about, gathering all of those information and then start packaging what it is. Because some people today you qualify, but you also need to be able to present yourself. You need to be able to package yourself in such a way for people to realize the value you bring to the economy. And then we have the Emigrate Premium Service, which is a 1 to 2 year journey, and holding, coaching, and so on, for you to become globally attractive and be seen as globally attractive over a period of time. And then we have customized versions of these services as required as well. If you're interested in any of this, you can go to that URL. First step is to indicate interest. Second step is to then request for any one of these services that are available. One of those services is the Emigrate Open Day. And what we seek to do with these open days is to bring guests that actually walk that path and to inspire our community to share information that from their own perspective, and more important, to share their experiences as well. And we have one of our guests today who will be doing that during today's session. The next edition will be on May 5, and we'll be focusing on North American routes. The next edition after that, we'll be focusing back on the UK. And then in June, I think it's June 2nd or so, North America as well, but particularly the student route in North America. So Emigrate Circle, I've spoken about that already. And we also have the Beacon mentoring platform. And one of the ways you can show yourself as globally attractive is by mentoring. But for example, with Technician, it has to be formal mentoring. So it can't be just, oh, I know a guy and I've been talking to him and so on. It needs to be formal mentoring. And we do have a formal mentoring platform, which we are launching. And so that is available. And then one of the programs we currently run is the Bincom Global Tech Program. It's a 1 to 2 year program that is able to take you from it's a 1 to 2 year program that is able to take you from a point of, beginner or intermediate in tech for you to learn skills, gain experience, and also gain exposure in the field of technology. The cost of that program is 1.2 million over the 1 to 2 years, but the company has something called the income sharing agreement. With the income sharing agreement, what that does is that you really don't pay anything when you're starting the program. You only start paying when you start earning high income in the field of technology. And so if you're interested in that, and the Emigrate Premium service I mentioned earlier comes as part of this particular program. If you're interested, you can send an email or you can request for any of those services. I don't want to keep our guest waiting for too long anymore. I've taken about 1 minute more than I wanted to. So I'll just introduce her and give her the floor. I think I've made you co-host already, Antonia. So I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Yes, I have. Hi, Antonia.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to your session. I know some people had their hands up and we're about to ask questions. We will take all questions at the end of, towards the end of the event. So Antonia will be sharing within the next 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll have about 20 minutes for question and answers. But if you have questions, please post them in the chat. Please post them in the chat so that we can take those questions first. We will take questions posted in the chat before we open the floor for additional questions if there is time. So over to you, Antonia. Thank you so much for being here.
Great, pleasure. I will share my screen as well.
Oh, okay. You should be able to do that.
Sure. Okay. Okay, coming up now. This should be visible.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, I thought that, okay, yeah. So yeah, my name is Ipemi Antonia Ani. Ipemi is a Nigerian name. I'm from Nigeria. It's from Edo State, actually. So that's my first name. So I am a technician ambassador. I have done this for a couple of years now since I applied. I applied for the Global Talent Visa in 2015. But I just wanted to say a brief about myself. So yeah, I was born and raised in Nigeria. It's interesting that, Bade, you mentioned about, not knowing if you're exceptional talent when you see that sort of word, because I didn't have what was known as a technical background at the time. So I didn't know that, I didn't think that the visa was for me until I actually started to dig deeper into it. So I'm presently a design consultant. I'm also into tech consulting and training with my husband, who is a cloud architect. So definitely more technical than I was when I applied for the visa. But even then, there wasn't any guidance around anything apart from, basics of business or technology roles. But anyways, just to give you a brief background on myself, like I started off in Nigeria. I self-taught myself as a graphic designer while I was in school. I ended up creating the design for our school paper then. I went to Covenant University, and I also designed the very first graduating set billboards that used to appear in the school. So that was what I was doing at the time. But I had a setback where I was robbed outside of school, but I lost my laptop, I lost everything. and I couldn't design. So I was thinking at that point in time, what do I do? So after I left CU, I decided to apply for this design school in the UK and came all the way here in 2009. So for me, I was just coming to school, but it was really good that when I got here, I found out that there was a visa called the post-study work visa, which is a 2-year visa after you've schooled for 1 year. And that just helped me to transition into working in the UK. So I did, I spent about 5 years working in various kind of sectors. As you know, the great thing about working as a a UX designer at the time was that I could work in any kind of sector. But I also got interested in, you know, there were lots of communities around technology that were forming, especially in London where I was. And there was the opportunity to gain mentors, to also mentor other people, training, to talk at different events. So all those things just also made the experience richer. So I wasn't just working, but I was, you know, involved in my community. So because I was honest, after the post-study work visa, I transitioned into a sponsored visa, which is called the skilled visa right now. I transitioned into that, but the challenge with that was every time you move to a new job, you have to apply for a visa again because the company has to sponsor you. So I decided that, you know, I was tired of that. And I was literally at a crossroad where it was, I'm going to go back to Nigeria and, you know, forget about all the 5 years I spent in this country and start again sort of from scratch, or I could try something else. So I was just thinking about what could I do? But then there was someone that I met within the tech community that told me about his friend that applied for the visa. His friend had only been in an accelerator, a startup accelerator, and he had applied for the visa and got it. And I was thinking, that's not as exceptional as I thought. You know, you think exceptional, you may be curing cancer or something, but it was just plainly the potential that they would see in you. And I thought, oh, okay, I can look back at the things that I've been doing and try to apply. So anyways, I applied for the Global Talent Visa, which is called now. Back then it was Exceptional Talent. And within 2-3 months, I was given the visa. I mean, I just, you know, threw everything in the bucket and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I did it. God was successful. And immediately, like the next day, I registered a business and started working in my own business from then. But unfortunately, that same year, I actually suffered another set of setbacks, which if I hadn't gotten the visa just before that, it would be, you know, it would have been a catastrophe to me and my family at the time. So it came at a really great time. I mean, I'm a believer in God, and I know that came, like God was watching over me and arranged everything at that time. So anyways, that happened, moved on. I mean, that's the thing about life. Setbacks happen, you just have to keep moving on. And up to this point right now, I worked again, did a bit of permanent job. Like I worked in a company for about 2.5 years, came out and I've started doing my own consulting and training again. And I've eventually, after all these years, I became a UK citizen. So my story doesn't necessarily have to be a story for a lot of people. It's a shorter route than what I've done, like coming through school and all of that. But the opportunity that is being told to you guys today is that you can actually just jump straight into working. You don't have to go to school and then, you know, have a sponsored visa and so on and so forth. You can just go straight into working. And then after about 5 years, you will be able to apply for citizenship. So that's just a bit about me. I'll quickly move on to what I actually, the things I submitted. I'll speak a bit on that for the visa. So in applying for the visa, just a quick timeline. So I was told about the visa in July, and it's really important, like Barry was saying, that, you know, the opportunities are there, but sometimes we need to dig for information on, and there's an importance in listening to other people. Like, I was part of this tech community, and without, if I didn't go for events, I probably would never have heard about it. So it's important that we network as much as possible, you know, be humble enough to ask questions. And, you know, that is how sometimes we get to learn about great opportunities. So I learned about that in July. Between July and August, I started gathering all the information, talking to people that I worked with, like people who could help me with references, because you need references for the visa. Also, you know, just really looked at the things I'd done and matched it to the technician criteria. Also, I reached out to people within technician to ask questions, because as I said, there wasn't really guidance around things like design, UX. It was more about, you know, code, being able to code, and maybe marketing, business opportunities. So I really had to carve my own way out there, you know, based on the little information that I was given at the time. And then I just applied, and then by December I was successful. So there is a need for a bit more planning that I probably did, because this was in 2015. The criteria is a bit more strict than what it was, what it used to be. So you definitely need a bit more planning. But thankfully, a lot of the things they asked for are things that I was already doing, and I was just able to piece it together. So just as an example, this was some of the things that I submitted. I submitted 3 awards that I had won. So the awards weren't like I came first in the world or anything. So one of the awards, 2 of the awards were actually scholarships. So I had won a scholarship from a body called Innovate UK. So they're always at the forefront of tech and innovation within the UK. It was an award to attend a conference, and another award to get training in a particular area, so in mobile user experience. And then the other award, I came second in a global competition about innovative ideas. So it wasn't, none of them were things that I was number one at. So don't always think that it's about number one. Think about the potential. Think about the fact that you've applied yourself towards something. And then the second thing I submitted was the designs of a patent that was submitted by some people in the company I worked at. So my name isn't actually on the patent, but because I did the original designs and I was able to show what those designs were, it was valid. I mean, I contributed to the patent anyway. So what I submitted was what the patent is, and where it looked, the link and everything, what it looks like, and what I actually have done. So those 2 things matched. And obviously what they're looking for in that criteria is an evidence of invention or innovation. So something new that hasn't been done before. So that was something that fit that criteria. Another thing they were looking for is just examples of your engagement with community. So it's not just your everyday, day-to-day work, it's how are you helping others in what you're doing? So I submitted examples of being at several conferences that I managed to speak at. Also, I spoke at, I gave like a lecture at a university. So just being able to apply yourself in different areas is really important. And then also submitted 3 publications, which were things that I'd written online. So I'd submitted like articles around user experience to different sort of nationally known and internationally as well known sort of publications for user experience. So it was important that, you know, I submitted that because it's something I've done, and I just wanted to show that, you know, I'm interested, or I have contributed to knowledge in my field. And so, yeah, that is a summary of some of the things they're looking for, like how you engage in the community, how you helping others, and then also how you advancing in your sector, like different kind of things. I also want to mention at this point that technology, don't see tech as this is one sector that is just somewhere that is not what I do. Like, you can apply technology in every sector. the fact that the thing that makes it tech, obviously, is that you're contributing to the creation of software that enables solutions in these different sectors. So it could be in health, you could be, if there's someone here today that you work in healthcare and you're thinking, how do I get into tech? Just have a thought about how, whether it's a piece of software or something that could help, that could solve a problem, be it in Nigeria or anywhere else, and develop a story, a vision around it. That could be your startup idea. That could be a technology business, but in that sector. So it doesn't matter where you are right now. You can apply tech in wherever you are. So anyways, the picture on the side was I actually became a face of the Technician visa scheme at the time. So this is like many years ago. So just in terms of a general guidance, so that is the government site. That is gov.uk/global talent. You can go there and just learn for more information. There are three main areas that you can apply for the global talent visa, but we're talking about technology here, which is the technician.io. You can go there and learn about the criteria. You must be at least 18 years old to apply for this visa, and you can live and work in the UK for up to 5 years at a time. So you can apply for 5 years at once. After 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency, and then after spending 1 year, you can apply for citizenship. So that's a total of 6 years to become a British citizen with this visa. The total basic cost here is £602, I think, which is an estimated 400K. I mean, it's split into two. So there are two parts to this. You need to apply first to Technician for endorsement, what they call endorsement. And once you get that, you apply to for the rest of the visa. But that really helps in terms of splitting the costs so that you're not paying the whole 400K at once. It's step by step. But also there are other costs that could apply depending on if you're coming with your family or or how many years. For some people, they've applied for 3 years. I applied for 4 years because I knew I was going to qualify for the permanent residency in time. I didn't need 5 years. So it just depends because you need to pay for NHS surcharge here in the UK. So yeah, this is basically what I would say is a general sort of guidance in terms of if there's someone here today that says, I want to apply for this today, these are the places you need to go. And then in summary, I think it's really important that we have a positive mindset. Again, it's exceptional. Everybody has the potential to be exceptional. You just need to convince someone else about it. And that's the work, that's the job you're going to be doing with this visa application, that you're trying to convince the person reading your application that I have the potential, I've got great ideas. This is how, my journey has been. I fell into tech because I thought it was the best way to solve problems. Whatever your story is good to put that into your application. So you walk in faith and not fear. Do your best. Put it out there. If you won't get anything if you don't try. I mean, that is a 100% guaranteed fail if you do not try. So walk in faith, not fear. Do your best. And the second thing I think is really important, because people come to me asking questions all the time on LinkedIn. And one of the first things I ask people is, have you read the criteria? Because you cannot, you won't know until you dig deep into it. If someone cannot give you all the information that is needed, you need to go and find out yourself. Read the criteria thoroughly. They've gone through, they've made things as plain as it can be. I know some things might still be confusing, so that's why we're sort of here to answer questions, to guide you through and all of that. But make sure you read the criteria so that, number 3, you can write out and you identify and write out the criteria that applies to you now and the ones you have the opportunity to build in the coming year. For example, they've got a mandatory set of criteria and an optional set of criteria that you have to submit evidence for. So, for example, if there's a criteria that says demonstrate how you've help people in the community, in your tech community or something, and you think, oh, I haven't done anything, I've just been working. You can think about it like, okay, I want to apply at the end of the year. What do I do in the next couple of months? So I've listed some examples there. You can run a tech event yourself. Everybody's online these days. Just do a webinar or something. You could identify people that you can help to train in the community. There are lots of opportunities for people out there, like, your children that might have missed on education due to the pandemic situation, train them on something. Or you can volunteer for an organization, GitHub, start posting in forums, answering people's questions. There are lots of things that you can start to do to just apply yourself into preparing for the visa. So yes, ideally give yourself 6 to 12 months to plan before applying, because 400K is not small money, even though it's split into manageable chunks, but you want to be as successful as possible. So yeah, this is all from me today, and I'll be happy to get any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think a virtual round of applause will be useful at this point. I know many of us still can't unmute ourselves, but thank you so much, Antonia. I know that many people have questions. I'm already seeing a couple of questions in the chat, but I wanted to ask one, or it's actually in 3 forms, and it's a question I like asking every guest we have on the Emigrate Open Day. We have 3 types of audience in this call today. We have people that are just getting into tech. They are beginners, they are newbies, they have maybe 1 year experience. They are wondering what they need to do next. And part of what we try to say to them in Emigrate is, oh, you can plan for this, but we would like to hear from you what's, from your own perspective, what can they practically do today for them to be able to qualify in years to come. We have a second set of people who are people that, already in tech, a couple of years of experience, they've done some things in the field of technology, maybe not public artifact and stuff like that. What are the things that they can do? And then we have people on this call who have been in tech for years, 10 years, 15 years experience, and they also are wondering, oh, would I qualify for something like this? What are the things I would need to do? I don't know if you could speak to each one of those audience.
Okay, for the beginners, in fact, for anyone, I think if you're at this point in time where you're learning about this visa, you're considering it, like I said in my slides, go to the site and read what the criteria is. So what you're going to try to do is to walk, it's almost like they call it backcasting. So what you see there is where you want to get to, and then you come back to the present and say, these are the gaps, these are the things that I won't be able to provide evidence for. So how can I start to gather, work towards getting that sort of evidence? Like I said, an example is you need to demonstrate that you've actually helped your community. You've been a part of a community by writing something about your work or training, mentorship, being, helping others, not just working. So if that's where you are, you need to change. No matter how many years of experience you have, if you have 1 year of experience and you've just started working, great, you can apply. You can start to think about the promise, the promise side of it. There's promise and talent. Typically, it's up to technician. They will decide for you, no matter which one you apply to. But typically, the promise means that you're definitely applying for 5 years for the visa. So yeah, I think that even if you have 1 year of work experience, you need to start looking for how to be a part of your community there's just so much information online these days that you can't afford to stay in one part of the world and feel like, oh yeah, there's nothing I can do. If you are a developer, there are lots of development community. You can start to help people there, start to gain experience, just seeing how others do it as well. Connect with people on whether on LinkedIn, on Twitter, whatever, start to build. So definitely the first thing for anyone at any level is go and read the criteria properly and then walk back from that, identify the gaps from where you're standing and then walk towards the goal of achieving, being able to provide evidence for those criteria.
Thank you so much. So someone is asking that, do I have to first come in as a student to the UK before I can apply for the visa? I think
No, I was just giving my own story. Like I took a long path. Obviously, when I first came to the UK, that visa wasn't existent. But it's there now, and if you want to do it, it's straight up, you get it, you're going to start working in UK. Of course, when you come here, you can decide to go to school. If you feel like, oh yeah, now I can go to Cambridge or whatever, you can go to school. The visa does not restrict you from schooling, but you don't have to first get a student visa and then get a post-study. I mean, the good thing is that they brought the post-study work visa back, but you don't have to go through that route. If you feel like that is more, it's a thing that is more possible for you, great, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is this visa that just, once you get it, you will be able to work in the UK.
Okay, thank you. And then we have someone on the chat as well, who is, I believe, an MSc student, restricted to working for just about 20 hours, and is wondering what are the things I can do now for me to be able to qualify for this sort of visa. Can I even qualify? Is it someone like me they are looking for?
Sorry, I didn't get the first part of that. Is it what?
So, okay, I can just read this. For example, if you're only doing an MSc, which is for 1 year and 20 hours limited time of work, tech companies kind of want people who can do full time. So it's kind of hard. So he's basically asking to say he's doing masters in the UK. Yeah. What can he do right now, or what are the things he can do so he can qualify either now or in the future?
Masters in what?
Oluwale, I believe you're still...
Yeah, so it's masters in data science. So my question is, obviously, there is the postgraduate route. When after you graduate, you can get that 2 years. But then I was quite intrigued hearing about this other route that you talked about, that you can actually apply for 5 years rather than go through the 2 years before then going to the 5-year route. So I wanted to know, say, if you graduated at the moment, after you graduated for the 1 year course that you're doing, can you go straight and apply for this global talent without having an experience here in the UK? Because the person I've just come from Nigeria, and I do have experience in tech, but not obviously here in the UK. How would that affect me?
Yeah, anybody, you can switch from that visa. As long as you're in the UK legally, you are able to switch into the global talent visa. So you can apply directly for it.
But you haven't got any experience here in the UK. Would that be like acceptable?
You don't need experience in the UK for the global talent visa. We have people that apply from Nigeria for that visa. What I would advise is for you to take a look at some of the requirements. The key thing is for you to meet the requirement, whether you are currently studying or you are already been working, or you were working in the past and then now switch to studying as well. The key thing that they want to see is that your profile matches the type of people that they are looking for. And there are things that they will look at. Have you been recognized in your field? Have you been, do you have public artifacts? If you're a developer, what kind of things do you have on GitHub, and so on and so forth? There's a lot of information on the technician site that you should probably also take a look at, but your student visa does not restrict you from applying for this particular route. And we know of people that have jumped from student visa to the exceptional promise visa directly.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, the only people that can't switch to the visa is if you're in the UK on a visit visa.
So you have to go and apply in Nigeria.
if you are there on a short-term student visa, like a 6-month course or something, you can't switch into it. But if you're there on a full-term master's course or something like that, you can definitely switch to this visa.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, they can go back to Nigeria to apply from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have Leo. It's a similar question, but I guess from a different perspective. If you are going through the student route, e.g. postgraduate, how does that help in the path to settlement? Or what is the best route if you are going to the UK for postgraduate studies?
The post-study work visa after school does not add, your schooling doesn't add up. The post-study work visa doesn't add up. So it is in your best interest to switch as soon as possible. Because again, like I said, I went through that path. So I know that I had at least 3 years that didn't qualify for citizenship. So towards a permanent residency and then citizenship. So I think I wish someone had told me then as well, like the earlier you switch into a work visa, the better for you.
Yeah, and I guess I should just address the question. Someone there says that, oh, it would have been better for us to be lawyers. We are not lawyers. What we can do is we can introduce you to immigration lawyers. And everything we are saying on this open day is not legal advice, right? I need to say that disclaimer to protect both ourselves. Very important is what we are doing is just sharing with you information that is available. And of course, we do our paid services where we can handhold you for the rest of the way and so on. So that's what we are doing. Not that we are giving you legal advice. We advise you to also go look up some of this information that we are sharing as well for yourself. Yeah, Antonia, I have someone that is in UI UX as well.
Okay.
And she's a bit confused. And I think you mentioned it when you were speaking as well, to say, oh, for developers, they can check things like their GitHub and their Stack Overflow and so on to see what their contribution to the field of technology is. You are from the UI UX graphics background and all. What would you say to that person?
I think, if you're doing that sort of work, you definitely have a demonstrable, like a piece of work that you've done. Is the person on the call here?
I'm not sure, but she's on Emigrate Circle, so I'm sure she will probably watch the recording, even if she's not here right now.
Oh, okay. So that would just been good to dig a deep more into her experience. But you definitely have, the good thing about design is that you must have something to show. You have something to show. So if you're working for a business that you believe you're creating like innovative solutions for something, that is the story around the design to say, and that is what I did. I submitted an innovative solution for a game that was created in my company. So I didn't come up with the idea for that, but because I was the designer involved in putting together the visual, bringing the idea to life through visuals, that was enough to qualify. That is enough to qualify because you're showing that this is how I've contributed to this innovation. It's not necessary that you have to be the originator of an idea. And I think that's what a lot of designers working in companies do. Of course, if you have your own startup as a designer, you can, again, make that story yours as well. Like, this is why I created my startup to solve this problem. And these are the designs, I think we have to, there's, you can look, we are in a way at an advantage in some sense, because unlike codes that I don't know how they test whether the code is working or not, but for a design, you can clearly see like what that is. So yeah, it's actually, if I would like to talk to that person directly just to understand where they're coming from, but yeah, I think it's really a bit more straightforward in terms of showing what the kind of work you've done.
Okay. Okay, I would probably take you up on that. I see a question here. What of health technology? How do I show evidence? Do you have some insight or some ideas to share?
That's a very broad question. What's health technology, and what is it that you do as part of that? Are you a growth marketer? Are you the developer? Are you the designer? Are you I don't know, the business development expert, manager? What is it that you do? So yeah, that has to come with more specific.
I think we have a bit of time, so I guess the person that asked the question, you can unmute yourself and probably just answer that to get. So that's Alim. Oh, okay. He sent it on the chat. I've developed hospital management systems for private practice.
Okay, as the developer. So what you need to show is the working code, and it'll be good. I think they ask sometimes for reference from maybe that business to say, oh, this person did this for us or something of the sort. So what they're looking for is that you created a product that you didn't just consult and say, hey, this is the kind of product you should do. They don't want any sort of consultancy. They want people that actually get their hands dirty and build something. So yeah, you definitely have something there that you can build on. So keep read the criteria again and then see how you can, let's say, sell what you
sell yourself. Okay, and I would also say take a look at, there's a section on the criteria page that you should probably take a look at. For each one of the criteria, you will see a section that says, how do I show that I am this for each one of the criteria? I would advise that you please read that. One of the things I find is that many people don't read. Many people don't even get to that section of the page, and it's a bit surprising. But Antonia also mentioned that. I have a question here that says, the language of the eligibility confuses me. You need to show you've been recognized by others as being a potential talent. How can I show evidence? So I've answered your question already. If you go to the site, you will see a section where they say these are examples of about 10 or 15 different examples of things that you can show. So Kenneth, please just take a look at the site so we don't repeat ourselves and we can get to other questions. Emmanuel says, I recently delved into product management and I have not gotten a job yet. What can I use as proof of concept or evidence in this case? Antonia, I don't know if you want to take a stab at that.
What do you mean recently delved if you don't have a job? What are you doing? Are you just learning about it?
I think so. So I think this is somebody with 0 years of experience. And
I don't think you're definitely not ready to apply. Again, we're saying that you need to plan ahead. So if you're just learning about it, you haven't gotten a job yet, well, keep working at it. You don't have to apply just in Nigeria. You can apply for jobs around the world. I mean, we're becoming a bit more smart in terms of remote working. So apply for jobs anywhere you can and see how you can actually get working. They don't just want to see people who are learning something. If you want to learn, there's a student visa. This is about people who can demonstrate that they can work and have the potential to do more. They have the potential to actually make the UK well known for digital technology. So that is what they're looking for. So if you've just started, you've just delved into it, what you need to do is go and look at the criteria, read through it, and then walk backwards to say, okay, I'm just in the learning, I've just finished my learning, and this is where I would like to get to. How can I bridge that gap? So first of all, you get a job, or you can get your own idea, like the problem you want to solve. Create a startup, and you really don't know where that's going to take you. It just starts with someone starting something. So yeah, that's definitely the first steps.
Yeah, thank you for that. And let me just emphasize the walking backwards that she mentioned, to say if you already know that this is the question paper and the answer expected of you in X number of years, let's say 2 years, because we have a program where we prepare people over a 2-year period to be able to qualify. So if you know that this is the answer that is expected of you in 2 years, you can work backwards to today. to say, oh, what are the things I have to start doing to be able to qualify in 2 years' time? And don't forget that they are also asking you for a track record. So you can't just show up today and apply today that, oh, okay, I quickly got into the newspaper today and then I'll pick that newspaper to go and apply. It doesn't work that way, because the assessors are also veterans, I assume, in the industry, and so they know what they are looking for. We are asking you to become globally attractive, then go and apply. The discussion here is about what are the things you can do to become globally attractive. And the good news is they've shown you that criteria. The question is, would you bother to go look at it? Would you bother to go plan for it? Would you bother to say, oh, fine, I could qualify over a period of time? Or would you just say, oh, this is something for Nobel Prize winners? Many of the people that got the visa and many of the people that we've been speaking with on our different Emigrate Open Day, you can clearly see that they do qualify, but I mean, and you can plan to get there also over a period of time. We're getting close to the 1 hour mark for today's edition. And so if you have any last minute question, I would advise that you just post it in the chat. I think we've, yes, I think we've covered most of the questions that also came. We didn't have so many questions from the community this time around. Do I need a new business? We've answered that already. The answer is no. You don't particularly need a new business per se, but whatever it is that you have, just see what is required of you, particularly for this visa. What are the documents I can submit? We've also spoken about that to say the different documents that you can submit are have already been written out there to say these are the things that you can submit in terms of document. I've handled the question about the about whether or not we are lawyers or immigration lawyer, and we can introduce to immigration lawyers. So we do have relationship with lawyers across the different countries where we are tracking. So that's the UK, the US, Canada, and France. Those are the 4 key countries that Emigrate is tracking at the moment. I spoke about some of the visa categories available for each one of those countries that are tech-enabled. Those are not all the visas that they have, but the ones that are tech-enabled that you could qualify for, that you can plan for. I spoke about those earlier in the call. I want to ask about beginner to skilled program, which you pay after you end the program. What's the process? The process is for you to simply go apply at bincom.net/globaltech. I will put that on the screen again. bincom.net/globaltech. That's where you need to go apply for that particular program. And the process will start from there. The URL is on the screen, so you can go there, apply for that, and then you can go through the process as well. Let me see. I think I saw one more question. Can you put the link? How about getting a job in the UK when you arrive? Do you get to choose where to live, or the visa determines that? Antonia, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you come here, you can choose, no matter what you say on your application, once you get here, you can choose where you want to go. A lot of people start off in London and then go somewhere else. But I mean, feel free. If you have friends and family in other places, you can go where you want. In terms of getting a job, I think that's where Bade comes in to help you with all of that. But you know, that's up to you. But if you come here and you end up at McDonald's, that is not, you're probably not going to get permanent residency. I'm saying it because they actually ask you what you've been doing in all the years when you come to apply for a permanent residency. So make sure that you are actually searching for an appropriate job in the area that you applied for, especially. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. And
more important is also, if you have already planned your career, one of the things that, I mean, this visa probably does for you is that particularly if you're applying in the UK, one of the questions you will get asked is that, do you have the validity, do you have the permission to work in the UK, right? Because many companies are looking for people, for talent, but they are not ready to sponsor the talent on the route to come into the country. And so it makes it easier for you to be able to get some of the jobs that you're looking for. But remember something I said at the beginning, think about the visa itself as a stepping stone. the big picture is for you to be globally attractive. You can choose anywhere in the world where you want to be. You can be in Nigeria, you can be anywhere in Africa, you can be in South Africa, anywhere you want to be in the world. The key thing is that if you are globally attractive, it would make a lot of sense for you. It gives you option, it gives you global mobility, and you have everything you need today to start planning for you to be able to get there. Somebody said, is there space for PM? Yes, product management is, there's space for product management as part of the Global Tech program and project management. So it's a combination of project service and product management for the Global Tech program using Agile, Scrum, and so on in terms of the frameworks. My question is for business development and data analyst role for energy startup. Can one say he is qualified to apply? We wouldn't know that, Mufe, because you need to then look at the requirement and compare it with what are the things that you are able to do. It's an energy startup, but don't forget that you need to show that you are you are making a difference within that startup. You're a senior executive within the startup. Your business skills could qualify you. And if you look at the criteria page for technician, you would see where it talks about that. So I think we've taken all the questions that we've had today. So let me just do a bit of housekeeping so my people don't say I didn't talk about it. Apart from the free things we do in Emigrate, we do our paid services as well. Some of them you would find on the Emigrate section of the Bincom Dev Center website. Some of it is the consultation services, the standard package, and the Emigrate Premium service as well. If you're interested in any of those, you will find more information on the bincom.net/emigrate or blog.bincom.net/emigrate pricing. And you would find as much information as you need about some of the things that we can do to augment your process. But nobody can plan your career for you. You have to do that. The key thing that we are able to do is handhold, coach, and so on, which are things that you may need in addition to this information that you have gotten today. Antonia, I don't know if you have any last words before we close today's session.
Yeah, my last word is do not be limited. Don't look at any self-imposed limitations. You all have the potential to apply for this. I think it's thanks to Oluwole for posting the actual technician visa guide. That's really important that you go to that link and read it. It is the quickest way to get in permanent stay in the UK. So Look at it, read it. If you have any questions about what's in there, you can ask us. You can set up meetings with Bade and just really go in depth into some of those things. So you can walk one-to-one more like. But yeah, walk in faith, not in fear. That's my last word on that.
Thank you for that, Antonia, and really appreciate your spending your evening with us today. For me, I would say plan. Antonia has spoken about the spiritual side, I know, but also plan. There's a Bible verse I like, which is about preparing for battle, but the battle is the Lord's. And you have this information today. For some of us, we may have been hearing about it. The question is, are you going to take action? And when we say take action, you don't have to come through the Emigrate service and all of that. There's a lot of information in the public domain, right? You can take a lot of action by yourself. But if you need a little bit of help and all of that, we're also available for that. With that said, thank you very much for coming this evening to everyone on the call, and do have a lovely rest of the evening. We can continue the conversation on the Emigrate community while it's open. Thank you.